Well, this is the perfect one because it's only a little while ago we spoke to the HR company.
Yes.
And Kingfisher, who were absolutely fantastic.
Amazing.
I mean, she blew me away.
Yeah.
That woman, Emma, her name was.
We were absolutely it was just so fascinating, isn't it? You could have stayed a couple of hours just
I know.
taking all the knowledge that she had and the support that they had through for their clients, which is quite unusual for an HR company to be so
open.
Employer focused in terms of this is the options.
Yeah.
Where do you go from there?
Yeah, and that's what I loved, having dealt with other companies, HR companies, where I've found in the past they've sat on the fence. Actually, I mean, and not that we're talking about that right now. We're talking about Saturdays off.
No,
but
it's all relevant.
It is all relevant, and they really. Actually, had I needed an HR company right now, I would be seriously considering them.
Yeah.
Anyway, we spoke to her, didn't we, about the Saturdays, and absolutely. And I remember back in the day, I used to say, because my team used to get every other Saturday off, so I used to limit the amount of Saturdays in the contracts that they were allowed to have off or take off.
Yeah.
The same as you do potentially, I mean, I used to do it in December, but again, it might not be relevant anymore, but I used to do it in December, and I know some people do it in the busiest months, maybe August, June, whatever it may be for them. But it has to be in the contract.
I think also it has to be a procedure, the holiday procedure, and also the holiday management, which a lot of owners, kind of any owners really, suddenly realise halfway through the year, oh my God, they need to take that many holidays, I haven't managed it. So the holiday management has got to come literally early in the year. And then just kind of go on and on and on at the team. This is how many days you've got. This is what first come, first serve. Please do it, especially if they've got children.
Yeah.
Do it a year ahead if you can, so you know you're going to have the holidays you want.
Yeah.
We used to, in corporates I'm talking about, so, it was very clear cut. You were allowed 1 week in kind of, winter times, 2 weeks in summer, 1 week in winter. So now we've got 5 weeks off. So, you could put 1 week in between or whatever. But you're very clear cut. That's including the Saturdays I'm allowing you to have.
Yeah.
Some people, if you're doing every other Saturday, you could very much be, that is part of your holiday entitlement.
Yes.
So you have to take the holiday when you're having
your Saturday off.
Yeah. So
actually, if I think back to mine, maybe that is what I did. Yeah. I'm trying to remember, but I think with those ones, potentially it was that actually. Whereas, and if they wanted a different one, then they could swap with a team member.
That's right.
But only if that was, and that was, they sorted it, and it had to be ahead in the diary, of course. And
also, again, holiday management, because I remember that was the rule where I worked as a head of spa operation, and realised it was a sneaky little girl, but therapist, who basically was swapping with more or less the whole team. So she ended up hardly working on Saturdays. And it's only because I just was really strict on the procedures and the follow-up and how to do this that I realised, hold on a minute, she's done like 5 Saturdays this year. That's not quite right. But unless you're really strict on that holiday management, then it's just going to... it's just going to be abused, I guess, isn't it?
Absolutely. And of course it's best as soon as, if you've got a really strong onboarding policy and how you operate when you're onboarding, that can be introduced straight away, then there's no issues going forward. If it's a change that you need to bring in, then obviously you can say that you need to update the contracts to reflect what the business now needs, or whatever it may be, or you can just update the holiday policy. I see. I mean, I'd always say take advice anyway just before you do things, but I think definitely, and I think this was triggered slightly. I think someone was coming back to the business from having some time off, and they stated that they wanted to have that they'd already put in holidays and it all fell on the Saturdays. And so it was
weekends off.
And I think if you work every Saturday, that's when you can put in, well, you can take a number of Saturdays off, or 4 of them need to be accompanied with a week. And then 2 of
and
them
if you
can be
want to if you want that weekend off for a wedding, again, you can swap all. But we used to limit the swap, so I limited them to, I think it was 3 times a year, or even 1 a quarter maybe. That's okay to do a swap 1/4.
Yeah, otherwise it gets messy.
Otherwise it's just abused and abused.
Yeah.
But again, isn't it? It's so difficult when you're managing a team. It's like, I only work on Saturdays. You know, we work Monday to Friday. I want to work, you know, all this time. But if you're very much aligned with what you want to create as a business, you will attract the people who won't mind to work on Saturday. And also, I think we've seen recently, especially with our members, because we've encouraged that whole staff wellness formula, that what's really worked, and because December is the way it is, not as powerful as it used to be, a lot of owners have been closing during Christmas and New Year, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if that's part of your wellness formula, we're giving you, you know, Christmas and New Year's off, we want to support you and everything else, then ultimately you've got to kind of, it's a give and take.
Yes.
Look, you have that many, this is the policy with the Saturdays, and this is what we're doing for you at Christmas. And how many teams enjoyed that this year?
I know. Oh, I mean, it was lovely anyway, wasn't it? Because it fell the way it fell. And that's what teams appreciate, because they want the time with their family as well. So if we can give that to them without it affecting the business, then I think we should.
Thank you for joining us. We really enjoy sharing our thoughts on various topics. If you have a burning question, simply comment below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button to keep up to date with each new episode.